All right, let's dive into the world of P.B Shelley. We're talking about a poet of rebellion, of visionary hope, and honestly, one of the most revolutionary voices to come out of the entire Romantic movement.
So, to really get Shelley, you have to start with this central paradox of his life. Was he an aristocrat or was he an anarchist? And the wild thing is, the answer is he was both. You see, he was born in 1792 into a super wealthy, aristocratic English family. He was literally destined for a life in Parliament. But from his earliest days, he had this fiercely rebellious spirit. He spent his entire life fighting against the very institutions, the church, the state, the class system that gave him all his privilege in the first place. So let's take a closer look at that life. It was short, it was fiery, a total storm of radical ideas and personal struggles lived completely in defiance of the conservative world he was born into. And man, the trajectory of his life was just so rapid and intense. Born into the elite, right? But then he gets expelled from Oxford at 19 for writing a pamphlet on atheism. Can you imagine? That single event basically sets the tone for everything that follows. Self-imposed exile, this incredible flurry of brilliant work, and then a tragic death by drowning at just 29 years old. But you gotta remember, his rebellion didn't just happen in a vacuum. To really feel its full force, we have to understand the world he was pushing back against. And that was the age of Romanticism. Romanticism was this massive cultural shift that celebrated imagination over dry reason, deep emotion over cold logic, and this is the big one, individual freedom. It was a movement totally fascinated with the sublime, the visionary, and Shelley, well, he would become one of its most radical champions. And this is where Shelley gets really interesting. He took all these romantic ideals and basically forged them into a revolutionary vision. And it's all built on three core themes: liberty, nature, and imagination. First up, liberty. This is the absolute beating heart of Shelley's poetry. Living in the wake of the French Revolution, he saw freedom as humanity's ultimate goal, and he used his work to condemn tyranny in any and every form. He wrote these lines right after the Peterloo Massacre, where government troops actually charged a peaceful crowd. So you see, this isn't just pretty poetry. It's a direct call for mass nonviolent resistance. It's an appeal for people to wake up and recognize their own collective power. Next up, nature. He found that exact same revolutionary spirit out in the natural world. Now, while a lot of other romantics saw peace and calm in nature, Shelley saw a wild, dynamic force of destruction and renewal. For him, the wind wasn't just, weather. It was a symbol of revolutionary energy. In this famous line, he's practically begging this force to scatter his radical ideas all over the world, like seeds, just hoping they'll spark a political and social rebirth. Okay, so you've got liberty, you've got nature, but for Shelley, neither of them could be harnessed without the third piece: imagination. He believed it wasn't some tool for escaping reality, but for reshaping it. It was the one power that allows us to even envision a better, more just world. And this is what made Shelley so unique among his peers. I mean, while Wordsworth was finding peace in nature and Keats was worshiping pure beauty, Shelley fused art with a political purpose. He directly linked beauty with truth, with freedom, with social justice. For him, art wasn't just for art's sake, it was for life's sake. So, the big question is, how did he actually do it? How did he manage to forge these radical ideas into poetry that, even today, still feels so electric? Well, he had this incredible four-part poetic toolkit. First, this amazing soaring musicality in his language. Second, he used these powerful universal symbols: the wind for revolution, the skylark for pure inspiration. Third, there's this restless, urgent tone to everything he writes. And finally, he blended ancient myths with modern philosophy, which made his ideas feel both timeless and totally immediate. But here's the thing. Despite his obvious genius, his radical politics, his atheism, and his, let's say, unconventional lifestyle, absolutely scandalized the society of his day. In his own lifetime, a lot of critics just dismissed him as a dangerous and impractical dreamer. So how on earth did this so-called dangerous dreamer become a prophet of hope with an influence that just seems to be unending? For over 2 centuries, his unyielding call for liberty has inspired countless thinkers, activists, and revolutionaries all around the world. We're talking everyone from Karl Marx to Mahatma Gandhi. Look, if there's one thing you take away from all this, it should be this. Shelley championed the idea that poetry's true purpose wasn't just to be beautiful, but to awaken the human spirit, to challenge tyranny, and to inspire real, tangible social change.
And all of this, it all leads to his most famous and frankly most audacious claim. He believed that it's the artists and the dreamers, not the politicians, who are the ones that truly guide humanity forward, because they shape our very sense of what is possible. Shelley believed with every fiber of his being that they could. He leaves us with this incredible legacy of rebellious hope and a question that feels just as urgent today as it did back in 1822. In a world that is just saturated with noise, can words, can art, can a single powerful idea still truly spark a revolution?